Welcome to your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 271. If you're writing a book or thinking about it or trying to finish a book you've started or trying to let more people know about your book, you are in the right place. Good morning. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc., I-N-K, like the stuff you write with. Every day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 18 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they can take someone who doesn't even see themselves as a writer and magically transform them into a published author. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. "Make the most of yourself, for that is all there is of you." Ralph Waldo Emerson. So speaking of that, of making the most of yourself, what is your plan for self-improvement as a writer this year? Talked about this a little bit on Sunday's Storytime episode where I read the excerpt from one of my favorite writing fundamentals books, Story by Robert McKee. So let's expand on that. For instance, in terms of my self-improvement plan, on the business side of books, my goal this year is to explore different ways authors can publish affordably, and the key part of this, reliably, in terms of quality, since I'm definitely aware of some inconsistency with quality in self-publishing out there. Also, how the self-publishing experience can be less frustrating for authors, which also speaks to, quality and affordability and all those things. It all goes together. I'm also intrigued with helping authors learn to make more money, not just by reaching more readers, but through upsells and satellite products around their books. And another episode I mentioned recently, I will be having an author friend on as a guest here on the show soon, and she has been extraordinarily, and let me say that word again, extraordinarily successful in the area of upsells and programs and making a lot of money off her books. She's a New York Times bestselling nonfiction author of many books, and she's been very, very successful in the area of upsells. So she might actually, we're talking about the idea of her being a regular monthly guest here on the show, just so that she and I'm more of the creative, she's the business, and I think we might balance each other well and bring a lot to you guys to help you out this year. So back to my goals. So writing fundamentals wise, my favorite, I've been focusing on expanding my language boundaries beyond usual patterns, beyond my usual ways of describing things. And we're talking about in writing, of course. The best way I found to do that is read as much as possible, especially fiction. And then, of course, keep writing as much as possible and pay attention to my language habits. So I'm working on looking at the words I consistently use to describe things. And you do notice after a while, if you look at your writing, you'll find most likely that you describe, certain actions, the way people talk, the way events kind of happen. You'll find that you probably have some patterns. So I'm this year challenging myself to branch out beyond those patterns and start using more language and different language and just really expanding my language boundaries, my language perimeter. And finally, in the area of mindset, I'm practicing what I've been preaching here to you guys, and I've scheduled a weekly 2-hour writing cave on my calendar every week for my own projects unrelated to work, which is very hard for me. I am a workaholic. I do love my clients very much. So, 2 hours just for me. And I'm also reminding myself to work on multiple projects in small time blocks versus my usual habit. I don't know about yours, but my usual habit as kind of a type A perfectionist is obsessing for most of the day on one project at a time. So just kind of doing one project, try to finish it or whatever, but that ends up, sometimes, working on the same thing and just almost going into like a haze for, 8, 10, 12 hours. And that can lead to burnout, and it's really not going to produce the best creative results either. So I'm going to work on this idea of time blocking and working on all my projects for a little bit every single day. And I will let you know how that works out. We're going to call it time diversification, one of my big goals. So now that I've opened up and shared 3 of my big goals in 3 big areas of being an author, business, writing fundamentals, and mindset, how about you? Can you think of 3 things in those areas that you would like to work on? Or any other areas, but certainly, business, writing fundamentals, mindset, productivity, any of those areas that you've set some goals for yourself. We'd love to hear about them. And those of you who listen every day, you know what I'm going to say next. Please drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook, Inc. I-N-K Authors, and let us know what your writer goals are for this year. Would love to hear them and support you and applaud you as you finish them, and accountability, whatever you need from us. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I'm helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And if you know someone else who wants to do the same thing, please let them know about this show. Until tomorrow, happy writing.